Hello guys, let's start talk today about the book of Imam Qadi al-Shifā, one of the beautiful books. Uh, and just to let you know, I'm reading it in Arabic and translate it directly to English, which means sometimes I will say like a sentence and then I stop and rephrase it. That's not because I missed the translation, but because I see something else, another word that changed the whole structure of the sentences in English. So be patient with me. The first thing Qadi started is by the name of God, I rely on Him. Thanks to God, who has the unique name, the King, the Dear, the the Protector, who has no ending, and there is nothing uh, you can look for, or there is no one you can look for than God. The only one you look for Him. Uh, the appear, the God that you can see, not in this life, but in afterlife you will see Him. Not you imagine Him, or He is an illusion, but you will see Him by your eyes. And here it's like one of the very essential beliefs that Muslims have. We believe that we will see God in the way that we see the moon, which means He's very clear to everyone and everyone can see Him. And let's talk a little bit about this issue. Like Imam Ghazali said in one of his books, imagine you go to a house and you enter this house, you sit, you eat, you enjoy your time there, but you don't meet the owner of the house. How it's gonna be? It's weird. The same thing about going to heavens without talking or seeing God. It's weird. So the best thing can ever happen in the afterlife. Even Muslims, they believe the best thing is not to enter the heavens, is to see God. That every single believer look to. Real believers, they don't tie their hearts to places, heavens. Yeah, it's a high level. It's when you enter heavens, you are saved from the other place, from the barbecue. But when it comes to the real aim of a very intelligent believer is to see God, not to enter the heavens. You already got to enter the heavens, but the highest aim is to see God. And then he said, وَالْبَاطِنُ تَقَدُّسًا لَا عُدْمًا, which means um, the one you he's hiding, if you can translate it, but it doesn't mean he doesn't exist. So in this life, we don't see God, but He exists. We see Him through His existence, like His creatures, as Ibn Rushd have always said. Like you look to God by His what He created, and by yourself first. When you look to yourself in scientifically way, you discover that you cannot be just like that. There is a hand behind you. There is someone behind you. Then he said, وَسِعَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ رَحْمَةً وَعِلْمًا, which means wherever you go, whenever you go, wherever, you will find the mercy of God. And also, He knows it. Anything happening in His world, He knows it. So His mercy and knowledge is wide. It's covered everything. And then he said, وَأَسْبَغَ عَلَى أَوْلِيَائِهِ نِعَمًا عُمَّا, which means the concept of wali is someone who is very close to God. Is someone who touch who anything he does, any movement he does in life, it's by the the he's watching God in every single movement, you know. I had it in my mind in Arabic, but it doesn't come in English, this meaning that I wanted to say. But in another way, anything he does on this planet, he does it with the awareness of that God is watching. And it's not easy to reach that level. It's not just a knowledge. It's about, as many sophists says, it's about being aware and making that awareness affecting your behavior. And here is the difference between people. It's a high position. Then he says, وَبَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ أنفسهم. And there is like a discussion between, it's a verse in the Quran. Some people read it as أنفسهم and some people read it as أنفسهم. There's a like أنفسهم, it's like he has sent, which means he has sent a prophet between them, like between the believers, between the Arab at that time. And another reading for the verse, it says no, it means he's like the best of them, of the Arab and the non-Arab people. And both of them is correct. If you look to the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you will discover that he was for sure the best, and he was from them because he was living with them in a very humble life, a humble way, and he was the best of them because he was the example for these people. وَأَزْكَاهُمْ مَحْتِدًا وَمَنْمَا, which means he comes from a very beautiful and humble and honored family. And when you look to the family of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you see that they were very good. They were generous. They were like good hosts. They were very good people. وَأَرْجَحَهُمْ عَقْلًا وَحِلْمًا, which means he has a very beautiful mind, like a very wise mind, and he was very, very patient and kind. That's how I would translate hilma, very patient and kind, in the way that if someone behaved in a bad way with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he would not respond in the fair way. He will just leave his rights. He was just like forgive. It's not just forgiver. He can take back his rights, but he doesn't do that. وأوفرهم علما وفهما. He has a very beautiful or wide knowledge and good understanding. This is the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. وأقواهم يقينا وعزما. He's very powerful, has a very powerful certainty in God. And this is where the faith of people differentiates. Some people have very strong faith, but some others do not have that strong faith. They are believers, but their faith is based on their knowledge and their journey to God, because we differentiate in these kind of things. And also wa'azma, which means some people are strong when they come to being like responsible towards their responsibility, or for example in usually worships, like the things that we do usually. Some people pray in the time, some people they leave the prayers a little bit late, some people they pray more. So we are differentiated in these kind of things. But for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was not. He was the best. He was so powerful when it comes to these kind of things. And there is a beautiful story here. Like his wife once woke up and found him praying in the night, and she said, "Why are you praying in the night? God has forgiven you for everything you have done, and even if you did a sin in future, He forgive you for that." And he said to her, "Why I would not be a very thankful worshipper," which means he wanted to worship God to show him his thanks for what he gave him, make him a prophet, and give him this beautiful knowledge that make people peaceful, at least in their minds, because the huge fruits of the faith, it's to make you peaceful, because life is harsh, life is not easy. During years of childhood, After that, being responsible on yourself, being responsible on family. These phases that we go through are not easy for a lot of people. Even it's not about rich or poor here. No, we hear a lot about rich people, but they struggle with this kind of things. It's the life of human beings. It's normal. Even in one of the verses of Quran, God said that we have created people in kabad, like it's in hard times. People go through hard times, but what make them being peaceful? It's their faith. It's their certainty in God. This certainty is something they learn with time. وَأَشَدَّهُمْ بِهِمْ رَأْفَةً وَرَحْمَةً. He says, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the one who have great empathy and mercy for the believers. And if you go through his life, you will see this in many examples. I can mention one. For example, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once he he was so sad about his people, about his folks, his tribe, because many of them didn't believe. So God said to him, do you want to kill yourself by being sad? You are so harsh on yourself. It's not your business if they didn't want to believe. It's not your business. So just leave them. Have whatever they want and do whatever they want and be peaceful with yourself. Why are you putting all of this pressure on you because they didn't believe? And however, I swear, go through the whole Quran. You will find that God mentioning this many times to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, reminding him that it's not his business or it's not his failure if they didn't believe or not. He doesn't supposed to put this pressure on himself. And that shows you how his heart was so full of mercy and empathy about these people. Because another person will say, I have done my responsibility, who cares? But the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was not like that. He was actually very careful, or have huge mercy and empathy for these people, because he was a prophet. He has observed the values of Islam. He was tied to the source of mercy, God. وَزَكَّاهُ رُوحًا وَجِسْمًا, which means he pured him, he cleaned him. God has cleaned the soul of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his body. وَحَاشَاهُ عَيْبًا وَوَصْمًا. He cleaned him, look, which means like this hasha in Arabic means like, I would never imagine that he would have an error or something, a bad feature. He would never have that as a prophet, and he did never have it. Even before he was a prophet, he was a straight man, far from all of the bad things. وَأَتَاهُ حِكْمَةً وَحُكْمًا. God has given him wisdom and a judge. He had a huge wisdom, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. If you want to see his wisdom, go back to his life and try to see how he was behaving with his wives. And then he said, وَفَتَحَ بِهِ أَعْيُنًا عُمْيًا, which means he was opening a window, a gate for the people who were not able to see the truth. But because of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, because of his manners, of his hard working to make people see this truth, he was the opening for them, and they saw the truth. وَقُلُوبًا غُلْفًا. Ghulfa, you know what does mean Ghulfa? It's like a covered heart. He opened this covered heart. God had, like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, opened this covered heart by the best way of talking to these people, by being nice to them, by being honest with them. وَأَذَانًا صُمًّا, ears who would not hearing. He opened his ears and they started looking to him, looking to the truth and hearing him when he talked about it. فآمن به وعزره ونصره من جعل الله له في مغنم السعادة قسمة. And which means like the people who believed in him and stand by him and helped him and supported him are the ones who were lucky to have a part of happiness. وكذب به وصدف عن آياته من كتب الله عليه الشقاء حتما. And who did not believe in him? Those who distrust him, those who didn't believe in him, and like they neglect the verses of God, and they were the sad people. Sad here, it's not about pretending that you are happy. Even sadness now, it's a very complex concept philosophically and also psychologically. But here I think that it means like the very satisfied people. These people who didn't believe in him, they are not satisfied on themselves or in their lives. And then he mentioned one of the beautiful verses, وَمَنْ كَانَ فِي هَذِهِ أَعْمَى فَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ أَعْمَى. Who was not able to see in this life, he will not be able to see in afterlife. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, salatan tanmu wa tanma, wa ala alihi wa sallam taslima. Peace be upon him. Then Imam al-Qadi Iyad will start speaking about the book that he wants to write. But before speaking about his book, he did a very beautiful prayers with the people who will read the book, but also with the one who asked him to write the book. Because after these beautiful prayers, he will say that someone asked him to write this book. So he said, أشرق الله قلبي وقلبك بأنوار اليقين. May God raise the lights in my heart and your heart by certainty. Which means the light that you can have in your heart is certainty. Certainty in what? In God, in his existence, in his mercy, in his nice giving, in him. When you have this certainty in God and what does God means truly, then your heart has lights. Without that certainty, your heart doesn't have any lights. And then he said, وَلَطَّفَ لِي وَلَطَّفَ بِمَا أشرق الله قلبي وقلبك بأنوار اليقين وَلَطَّفَ لِي وَلَكَ بِمَا لَطَفَ بِهِ لِأَوْلِيَائِهِ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Which means, and I hope that God will be nice with you, with me and with you, as he was, or by what he was, by the things that he is nice with his awliya, the close people to God, al-muttaqin, the righteous people, الذين شرفهم الله بنزول قدسه, the ones that God has honored them. Honored them by what? By the place that he prepared for them, and وأوحشهم من الخليقة بأنسه وخصهم من معرفته مشاهدة عجائب ملكوته. Actually, this sentence, like, we can talk about it for a long time. If we talk about it in a sophistic way, it says like, وَأَوْحَشَهُم مِّنَ الْخَلِيقَةِ. The people who are very close to God, they are so peaceful and so calm and so happy when they sit alone with God. How can they sit with God? When they sit and read the Quran of God. Because when they read the Quran, God speaks to us, to them and to us when we read the Quran. And when they sit and mention and doing dhikr, like they pray, when they pray also for God, when they are alone and thinking about God, they feel more happy than just being with people. It doesn't mean they hate people or dislike people. No, but they just find a huge happiness with sitting and talking with God. That's all. And then God has gave them something special. They look to the world in a different way. They see the fingerprint of God in every single side of this world. While others, they don't. So that's their feature. فَجَعَلُوا هَمَّهُمْ بِهِ وَاحِدًا. They have one thing in their minds. It's God. وَلَمْ يَرَوْا فِي الدَّارَيْنِ غَيْرَهُ مُشَاهَدًا. In this life and then after life, they are not looking for anything than God. It means like if someone working hard in this life and he had made a lot of money and the only thing he sees this money is God, the one who gave it to him. Then he's seeing God when he gives it to other people who are in need. So in earning it and giving it, he sees only God. He doesn't see, for example, a repetition. I am able to earn a lot and I'm able to give a lot. This is the people who look for repetition from others. But for these people, no, they are not looking for that. They are seeing only God. Oh, God gave it to me, and God helped me to give it to others. So the way that they look to the world is different in every aspect of life. And then he said, وَلَمْ يَرَوْا فِي الدَّارَيْنِ غَيْرَهُ مُشَاهَدًا. We talked about this. فَهُمْ بِمُشَاهَدَةِ جَمَالِهِ وَجَلَالِهِ يَتَنَعَّمُونَ. Which means they are very blessed and glad by seeing his beauty and his power and his greatness in this world. وبين آثار قدرته وعجائب عظمته يترددون, which means they are all the times between looking to his power and his beautiful, great things that he makes in this world. وبالانقطاع إليه والتوكل عليه يتعززون, which means they are powerful by having time for God and rely on Him. How many time we give for God? The prayers, 5 prayers a day, how many minutes it takes from us? 5 minutes? 25 minutes in day? Or let's say 40 minutes, okay. It takes 40 minutes or 50 minutes. And many people like perform it in a very quickly way. But the ones who are really have time for God, they are special. Like you find, I have seen a lot of men and women as well. They have daily time to sit and read the Quran. They have daily time to sit and mentioning the names of God and doing dhikr. They have daily time for this, for hours. And when you looked at their faces, it's lighted, because they were with the light of God. لهيجينا بصادق قوله قل الله ثم ذرهم في خوضهم يلعبون. These kind of people, they say, their case is the ones who say one of the verses of the Quran, say God, and then lead them or leave them in their playing, which means that these kind of people, they understood the truth of life. There is God, the right, the fact, the truth, and there is this life, the one who will finish, the one who that it is limited, and then they choose to be with God and to prepare themselves for his meeting or meeting him. And then he said, Imam Qadi Iyad said, you have mentioned to me, or you said to me many times in a question that you want a book. First, he finished praying for this person and for the whole people who read his book, and thank Imam Qadi Iyad for his prayers and for what he mentioned about what a Muslim and believer is supposed to be. He's supposed to look to this world in a special way, to see God in every aspect of his life, and also to see the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as a symbol in his life, and also to have time for God, to sit and talk to God, and to hear from God by reading his book, Quran. Then, when he started talking about the questioner, the one who posed the question on him to write this book, he said to him, you have said to me many times to write a book that introduce the value of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and what's supposed to given or showing him from respect. وما حكم من لم يوفي واجب عظيم ذلك القدر. And what's the judgment of the people who did not show the respect to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, or they were not good enough to show him the respect that he's supposed to have, and to collect to you what had been written, or what had been said about his position, and to show it to you by giving a lot of examples and pictures. Now, may God forgive you and be merciful with you, that you have pushed me to a very hard thing, and you have made me so tired to what you have pushed me to, and you have made me go into a very, very harsh stairs. It's a metaphor. Which made me, he said, which made me so afraid, because the talk about this, it's supposed to come with a lot of principles, and writing a lot of chapters, and enlighten a lot of hidden things and particular things about very specific truths and facts that we supposed to have for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and what he had as a prophet, and what we suppose not to believe about him, or we suppose he could have, and knowing who's the prophet and what's the messenger, and what's the prophethood and the message, and the love and the features of this high position. Like, he means the love to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And this a very harsh mission for me, because you can make a mistake, and if you did mistake, it's harsh, it's not easy. And if you don't have knowledge and a very good insight, you will be falling down if you are not supported by God and His luck. And then he said, because I remind myself with the high rewards that I can get by introducing the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his huge, great manners, and enlighten or showing the features that had never been to anyone before him and would never have it, anyone would have it, and what we're supposed to believe in him by his rights and his honored place, and what the people suppose to have in their hearts to him. And also, because I know, he said, like, one of the things that pushed me to write about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, because I know that I suppose to be, as a scholar, I suppose to explain his life to the people, because I cannot hold the knowledge with me. And then he will start his book. So, in conclusion, Qadi Iyad was afraid to write about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Imagine you're writing about the Prophet, the last Prophet. You will be the one who introduced him to a lot of other people. Maybe they are not specialists. So you will be the one, but who these people will rely on in their knowledge of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And sometimes you see that it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's harsh. If you do make mistakes, it's harsh, it's not easy. And that's the thing that Imam Ghazali was having, like, oh, I'm writing about the Prophet. It's not easy, it's not something you do daily, and maybe I will make a mistake. And maybe I will not talk about him in a good way. Maybe I will not be enough for this position that he had, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But at the same time, he mentioned that he reminded the rewards that he may get from going through this journey. And he reminded himself that the scholar is supposed to clarify things for the people, because he had knowledge. He saw himself, he had the knowledge, but he doubted himself in front of the position of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said, maybe I'm not the person who can write about it. But let me tell you guys, he was the right person to talk about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. His book is incredible. Incredible book. The way that he wrote it, the language that he used, the chapters that he wrote, every chapter, when you read it, you will be introduced to the life, a side of the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And I think Imam Qadi Iyad was so lucky and so good to know and to introduce the real personality of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So I will say, at this moment in 2026, after years and the years of the death of Imam Qadi Iyad, rahimahullah, who died in 544, which is over like 900 and half years. I would say, may God reward him a high position in afterlife, as he was rewarded a high position between scholars in this life. And may God make him meeting, or let him meet in the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the highest heavens, where the truth, God, exists. And may God help everyone who wants to know more about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to have the time, the desire, the power to go further and know more about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and apply the manners and the beautiful attitude that he had in life. Thank you so much. And may God help me to find the time and the spirit and the mood to sit and read this beautiful book and to talk to you about it. God bless you.